Okay, so as I mentioned, we're going to do a little bit of fascial release work as well today. So if you can have the massage ball ready or a tennis ball ready. And we're going to focus a little bit on upper body as per Edith's request. And we're going to do a little bit of gyro, which is those spiraling movements, as per Julie's request as well. Okay, so I hope you enjoy the class. So we're going to start in a standing position. And I'm going to just turn to face you. You can stand lengthways on your mat if you wish. So please have that little ball available and just placing it in front of your feet here. Separate your toes slightly and make sure that you are level. Arms nice and easy. Lift your chin so that you're looking forward towards the horizon. And then, as always, just allow your eyes to soften or to close. And just giving yourself the first minute of today's class to connect to yourself, to connect into your physical body. Notice how you're feeling today. Pause and notice your breathing. Maybe you can let your breath extend and slow down gently. And then just take a moment to notice your energetic body today. How are you feeling? Allow your eyes to soften, releasing any tension or frown lines around your forehead, the tops of your cheeks. Soften your jaw, soften your lips, and allow your tongue to relax. And we take one deep inhale through the nose. Hold your breath at the top for a moment. And a long sigh through your mouth. And blink your eyes open. So we're going to start with a roll down. So take a breath in to find the height of your spine. And then on your exhale, look down towards your toes and just let your body fold over. Find the weight of your crown, the weight of your arms, soften your knees, soften the front of your hips. And when you reach your bottom position, just stay for a moment. Take another breath, and then slowly come all the way up, feeling abdominal support from the front, engaging into the back of your body and lifting up and tall. Now keep your knees a little bit bent. Bring your right arm up in front of you. So I'm going to do a mirror image. Thumb pointing up. Start to take your arm out towards the side. And how far behind you can you bring your arm? Let your shoulders, your pelvis, your spine twist and release to come all the way back and bring that hand down. Now try the other side. So you're going to bring your left thumb up, opening out to the side. So we're just testing what's happening with our spiral lines today. Come all the way back and relaxing down. So now you're going to stand on your left foot. Put your right foot lightly on top of your ball. Remember, if you need to hold on to something for balance, you do so. Start with that very, very light rolling on the bottom of your foot. Getting into that first little layer of connective tissue, fascia underneath the skin. And then let your foot go floppy, but put a little bit of a firmer pressure onto your foot. Nice rolling action all the way from the heels to the toes, to the inside edge of your foot and the outside edge of your foot. And now stiffen up your foot. Keep that lovely deep pressure. And this is where you might actually experience a little bit of discomfort. You might find one of those trigger points. So pay a little bit of attention to those places. And then relax, and we move over to the other side. So now you're going to place your left foot on the ball. Start with that very, very light rolling. That's it. Keeping balance. And then let's go a little bit deeper. So relax your foot and start to press down quite firmly. So we're getting into those intrinsic muscles of the feet. Make sure you get all over the foot, front to back, side to side, and now stiffen up your foot, still with that deep pressure. So getting into this one end of that back line of fascia, and also going underneath the foot, which is part of the spiral line of fascia. And then you can relax, you can leave the ball there, just stand for a moment, and now we're going to repeat our roll down. Take a breath, find your height, and on your exhale, look towards your toes, just let your body fold over. And just notice if this is feeling any easier for you. Stay here, enjoy the release for a moment, relaxing your neck, and then all the way up you come. Abdominal muscles connecting, engage the back line of your body, and lifting up and tall. Now, again, taking your right hand out in front, thumb up, start opening your arm, and coming into that spiral, and has there been any release? I'm definitely going further than I was. And come all the way back. Big difference for you? Not really? Mm-hmm. Other side, and we're going into that spiral line. And again, just notice if there's a shift. Come back to the center and relax. Keeping your knees just a little bit bent. You take both arms, inhale, reaching all the way up, connecting fingertips, and exhale, open your arms, and all the way down. We're going to do that again. And breathing in, reaching up, and exhale, open arms, clear a little bit of space. Now on this last one, we're going to do a bind. Inhale, reaching up, and this time, bringing your right elbow under the left elbow. Now guys, it doesn't matter if you switch it around. We're going to do both sides anyway. Soften the knees to release your lower back. See if you can start to bring the backs of the hands towards each other. Now that might be your extent of the stretch. But if it's available to you, you can actually wrap your hands into a little bit of a bind. And can you feel that there's a lovely opening at the back of the shoulder? Maybe if you're tight between the shoulder blades, you might feel it. So lengthen along the back of your neck. And then if you want to increase this, you can start to slide the fingertips up and relaxing gently down. So it's a very soft movement. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see. We do a little bit of a lift up and then a release down. Two more, and lift, and release. One more time, a little bit of a lift, and release. Hold it. Now release the bind of your hands. Move slowly. So you're going to have circulation, energy, oxygen, blood flow. Can you feel how your arms almost are floating? And now, bringing your arms down, you're now going to hook your other arm under. So whichever arm you had on the bottom a second ago, switch it around. So if you can, start to bring the backs of the hands closer. If it's available to you, see if you can bring your hands into a full bind. Don't force it. Just notice the stretch along the back of your neck, chin in slightly. If you want to increase it, we do just a little bit of a lift and lower. That's it. And again, I've just noticed your ankle strap is off. Lift and lower. And we're going to do two more. A little bit of a lift Last one, a little bit of a release. These are called eagle arms, by the way. And lower. Now take your time. Release. Slowly, slowly. Feel the circulation, the energy, all the way through. Floating arms up. And then exhale and open your arms nice and wide. Now straighten your knees for a moment. Close your eyes once again. And just pause. Notice the shifts that are starting to take place in the connections and awareness of your body. Notice your neck, your shoulders, that little space between the shoulder blades. Notice maybe that tingling or awareness of your hands and fingertips. Notice the connections to your feet, your ankles, your legs. After doing that, rolling on the ball. Once again, soften your eyes, releasing your forehead, taking a deep inhale through your nose. Hold your breath and long sigh through the mouth. Blink your eyes open. Now you're going to bend your knees. You're going to interlace your fingers and place your hands just behind your head. So if I turn around, you're going to see that I'm almost just sort of cupping the base of my skull here. And then move your elbows into a position where you can relax the shoulders so that there's no tension through the shoulders. Soften your knees slightly. We do just a little bit of a side bend towards one side. It doesn't matter which side you go first. And we come all the way back up. And again, it's a little bit of a side bend. So we're focusing on our rib cage and thoracic spine moving. You might have a little bit of a shift in the hips, but it's not a huge movement. Now, connect your breath to your movement. Relax the shoulders. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Good. Taking two more. Inhale. And exhale. Keep your knees soft. Relax your lower back. Breathing in. Exhale. And we hold it. And now we're going to draw figure of eights. So keeping your elbows stable in your peripheral vision. So in other words, I'm not doing this. I'm not swinging my elbows around. My elbows are there. And as I draw this little figure of eight, it's almost like if I had a piece of chalk on the ends of my elbows that I'm drawing a circle on the walls on either side of me. And now bring your awareness to your shoulder joint. So your shoulder joint is rolling around in a circular shape. It's following your elbow. And now bring your awareness to your rib cage. And can you feel that lift and opening on the one side of your ribs as you move your shoulder and you move your elbow? Keep your knees soft. Don't lock your lower back. Let it respond. And now bring your awareness to your spine. And your spine is doing this beautiful snaking movement. All of the movement of the ribs, your shoulders, and your elbows are in fact coming from your spine. And this is one of the beautiful spiraling movements that we teach in gyro. You can make it small, you can make it big. Allow your head to stay floating on top of your spine. Let's just take a few more. And we come all the way back to the center. Straighten your knees and reach all the way up. And then exhale, open your arms, creating space for yourself and letting your arms come all the way down. So I'm going to turn sideways. Maybe you're already there. You can leave the ball there. And we're going to do another roll down. So take a breath. So you're going to turn sideways on your mat. And then look down towards your toes. And just let your body melt over. When you reach the bottom, stay for a moment, relaxing into your neck, observing how you're feeling, and then bend your knees enough that you can walk yourself all the way down onto all fours. So set yourself up. Now, bring that little massage ball underneath the front of your shin. And it doesn't matter which side, because you're going to do both sides. All we're doing is rolling the front of the shin here. So this is a muscle called the tibialis anterior. And this muscle is involved in a few of our fascial lines. It's involved in our spiral line, and it's also involved in our front line. So we don't really pay enough attention to it, I don't think. And then release and move the ball over to the other side. So you're going to get that ball underneath the other shin, whichever side that may be for you now. Give yourself that little roll all the way from the knee down towards the ankle, maybe even the top of the foot. And you might find for your own body as well that you need to maybe move the ball a little to the side of the shin or to the inside of the shin to get the right spot for you. And then we're going to release, and you can move that ball just a little bit off to the side. We'll use it again later. So stay here for a moment, close your eyes, and just feel the tops of your feet, the tops of your shins, connecting firmly to the ground. Spreading your fingers out, getting equal pressure onto the right and the left arm. Nice long spine. And now open your eyes gently. Keep your spine neutral and let your scapula retract. So your shoulder blades behind you are going to do a little squeezing action. And then go the opposite way. So now you're going to push away from your hands, and I want you to always get the scapula gliding wide. That's called protraction. So my spine is staying neutral, it's staying lengthened, but I'm allowing my rib cage to sink towards the floor and then press up again. And because my elbows are staying straight, the movement has to come from the scapula, the shoulder joint. These are called butterfly push-ups, by the way. And let's just do one more. Now, stabilize in what you feel is neutral. Tuck your toes under, and let's do our 4-point hover. Pressing onto hands and feet, hold it there. And now, there is no movement of the scapula on your ribs. You are stabilizing. You're waking up the stabilizers around every joint of the body. And then on your next breath, allow your knees to release. Relax your feet out. Round your spine like a cat. Now stay here for a moment. Notice how the scapula have pulled wide, they've protracted. Move your hips halfway back and stay here. Press up onto the tips of your fingers just to take a bit of weight off your wrists for a moment. And then put your hands flat. Come forward again until your shoulders are above your wrists. And now lengthen your spine and extend. So now you can feel the scapula retracting. Round your spine. Protraction of the scapula. Sit back halfway. Press up onto the tips of the fingers. So you're getting a little bit of a release along the latissimus dorsi muscle here. Place your fingers down. Come forward. Lengthen your spine. And extend. We're taking 2 more rounds. Curl your spine like a cat. Really lift your belly button up. Sit back halfway. Press onto the fingertips. Place your hands down. Come forward. Lengthen, create space. Lift tail, lift heart, lift eyeline. Last one. Move with your breath. Sitting back. Press onto your fingertips. Fingertips down. Come all the way forward. Lengthening your spine, coming towards extension. And then return yourself just to neutral and you hold. Now stay in this lengthened spine. We're going to do some push-ups. Bending your elbows, only go halfway down and stop. And then pressing all the way up. And again, bend your elbows, only go halfway, but focus on tucking the elbows in as much as your elbow joint allows. And then pressing up. Good. Bend your elbows, and now keep your feet connected firmly to the ground. Pressing all the way up. We've only got one more time. Bending elbows, keep your scapula glued to your ribs. Don't let them retract. Come all the way up, hold it, open your knees, big toes touch, sit back, and I want you to bring your hands together so the palms of the hands are touching. Bend your elbows to take your hands behind your neck and just get a little bit of a stretch on those triceps muscles. So we're taking all the weight of our wrists, releasing the upper body. Keep breathing. And then on your next breath, bringing your hands forward, spread your fingers out, and once again, draw yourself up onto all fours. So, we're going to go into a little bit of a 4-point hover. Tuck your toes under, lift your knees just up. Now move your left hand underneath your nose. Pivot your feet, your knees, your hips to the right, and then just see if you can balance. You can come down into a side seat if this is hurting your shoulder, because now we will all lower down into a side seat position and you stay here. Make any adjustments you need to the position of your arm. Now taking your right arm, reach up and back. Open up the front arm line. And then exhale and rounding over. And again, breathing in, reach back, and bringing your hands all the way towards each other. So again, if we bring a little bit of awareness and focus to what's actually happening with our upper body here, our left arm and left shoulder is actually staying still. And we are pivoting our ribs and our spine around that shoulder. So there is a movement of the scapula, but only because we're actually shifting our ribs. And release down. Bringing your arm all the way up. Now bring your hand down to hold onto that ankle. Make sure you've got balance. And let's go into that long side stretch. Turn your head so that you're looking down. Bring your head to look back to the front. And then bring your spine upright. Now hold onto your right foot and help yourself to step all the way across. Now, if your hips are tight, You put your foot on the inside of the knee, on the lower end. If they feel very comfortable, you could actually step all the way over. Now just allow yourself to sit. Rest your hands on top of your knee. That's it. Ankle feel okay like that? Great. And then just let your head come down to your knee. And we're just literally staying here for 3 breaths in and out. And all I want you to focus on is using your breath to sink a little bit deeper without forcing it. So you might notice that your pelvis starts to settle itself onto the floor. You might need to adjust the position of ankles and feet a little bit. Breathing into the back of your lungs and ribs. And then on your next breath, start unraveling your spine to come all the way up. So now you've got your right foot in the front. Take your right hand behind you to support yourself from the back. Left arm creates space. And now turn towards the right, gently, gently. See if you can hook your elbow to your knee. Lengthen up through your spine. And then looking over the right shoulder. So you're coming into a seated spine twist. Use your breath to deepen this rotation for yourself. There's no forcing of your spine. Using that internal expansion and release to guide yourself a little bit deeper. And now on your next breath, release, coming all the way back up, placing your left hand to the floor. Help yourself as you just bring that leg around. So you're stacking your knees and onto hands and knees you come. So now we're going to do the other side. I don't want to sit with my back to you, so I'm just going to turn around and face the other way. So from here, tuck your toes under. On your breath, lifting your knees just up off the mat. Your right hand comes to the middle of the mat under your nose. Pivot feet, knees, pelvis. See if you can balance and coming into your side bend right here. And then lower your hips and knees all the way down. Help yourself in any way that you need. Double check that your hand is pointing away from you. And now your top arm reaches up and back. And then rounds over. And again. Front arm line opening. Back arm line opening. Feel how your hand, your arm, your shoulder, and your scapula are anchored in space, and we are moving our ribs in relation to those points. Taking 2 more. Taking 1 more. Reaching back. And now bring yourself upright. Hold it. Take a grip onto your ankle so that you can sit upright. And then your outside arm, your right arm, comes up and over for that long side stretch. Turn your head to look down. So you're releasing the levator scapular muscle around the neck. Bring your head to the front. And we're going to come all the way up. Now, take your hand, holding onto your foot. You can either put your foot just to the inside of the knee, or you could maybe step across. And by the way, the flexibility that you have on one side might be different from the other, so it might be a different position. So let yourself settle, hands onto your knee, let your head come down, and then just breathe. Give yourself an opportunity to surrender into this release of the hip. Noticing if there is any pain or strain and what adjustments do you need to give yourself. Discomfort is fine, but pain isn't. Soften. release. And then unravel your spine and rolling all the way upright. Taking your left hand behind you because your left leg is in front. Right hand reaches up, that's it. And then twist towards the left so you can hook your elbow, sitting up nice and tall, looking over your left shoulder, and we settle into our seated spine twist. So by the way, I oftentimes in my classes teach this with the leg out straight. So you guys know this one. It just so happens that we bent the underneath leg today. Keep breathing. Use your inhale and your exhale to guide you a little bit deeper into this twist. And then on your next breath, release, coming all the way up, bringing this leg. Help yourself as you just untwist. Stay here for a moment. And now we're going to come into a straddle sit to release our inner thighs. So you're going to take your legs out nice and wide. Now put your hands to the inside of your knee to help yourself. That's it. And then I just want you to sit up nice and tall. If you need to sit on a bolster, then feel free to do so. Make sure your toes are lifted up. And you're going to just bend your knees and straighten. Now, as you bend your knees, see if you can keep your heels where they are. So you're not pulling the heels in. And then release. And again, bend your knees so the heels stay where they are. And release. Last two. Bend. And release. One more time. Lengthen up through the spine. And release. Now, you can stay here. If you want to help yourself, put your hands behind your back. If you want to challenge yourself, bring your hands a little bit forward. So you can figure out where you are, but you don't want to collapse. It's not this with your head to the floor. It's your heart reaching forward past your legs. Slide your shoulders away from your ears. We're just going to stay here for 5 breaths in and out. And what you might notice as you breathe is that you're able to maybe even release a little bit further forward. So make any adjustments that you need as we go. Taking 2 more breaths in and out. And for those of you that are really flexible, you're welcome to put your forearms down, yeah? Yes, I'm not there, don't worry, me either. And 1 more breath in and out. Use your hands to help yourself as you come all the way up. Now put your hands to the outside of your knees, bend your knees up, and now you're going to just bring your heels together. So you've created almost this diamond shape with your legs right here. The heels are touching, the toes are pulled back, so the feet and the ankles are actually quite strong. I'm going to turn sideways so you can see what we're going to do. I want you to roll back so you make a curved position of the spine. So there's a strong abdominal connection here. Now keep holding onto your legs, staying around the spine and come forward as if you're going to put your head onto the floor just between your legs here. So it's a rounded position of the spine. Use your hands to help yourself. Start lengthening your spine as if you're going to take your heart past your feet, and then just let yourself float upright and back to where you started. We curl back. There's that lovely abdominal connection. We round forward. We lengthen to lift our hearts, and we float upright. So we're going to make this seamless. Curl back, come forward, lift your heart, float up. I say we breathe. So this wave series of gyro. Use your arms to help yourself. Use your breathing to guide your movements. And just let yourself flow into it so that there is no forced action and no strain on the spine, the hips, or the knees. Taking one more. Lift all the way up, pause, and then you're simply going to bend your knees. Now make sure that you're sitting lengthways on your mat. Come a little bit forward. Arms are out in front of you, guys. Please make sure that you've got your best friend beside you, your spiky massage ball. Start rolling all the way down with control. Abdominals connecting, and then let your arms relax beside you. Bring your feet a little bit closer in towards your bum cheeks. Take a moment to pause there. So today we're not doing a pelvic curl, we're going to do a pelvic press. Take an inhale to wait. And on your breath out, push into your feet, into your arms, and you hinge your pelvis up. But it's still a controlled movement. Stay here, and then hinge your pelvis down, so you're keeping your spine in one neutral position. And we go again. Pressing into feet and arms, hinging up. Can you activate those gluteals? Take a little breath, and then hinging down. 2 more. Exhale, press up. Stay for a moment, and release down. Last one, and press up. Now I want you to hold it here for a moment. Connect the heels of your feet to the ground, and the right foot, just see if you can flex at the ankle so your right toes lift up. And now alternate, so your right foot goes down and the left toes come up. So it's like you're walking on the spot. Keep your pelvis stable, keep your pelvis level, and can you feel that it starts to engage those gluteals just a little bit more? Taking just a few more. And release, both feet down. Now you get to roll down through your spine. Take your time, feeling that imprint into the lower back, and release at the bottom. I want you to walk your feet a little bit wider than hip distance. Bring your hands a little bit wider than your mat. Start rolling both your legs to the right and look towards the left. Stay there for a moment and just observe the spiral of your body. Staying there, breathing. And then bring yourself all the way back up through the center, and then take both your knees over to the left. Look towards the right. And again, stay here for a moment, settle into it, don't force it, and just observe the spiral on the side. Come all the way back up to the center, and then just walk your feet a little bit closer in towards each other. So now, I want you to take that ball, and we're going to start with the right shoulder. So I want you to place it underneath the shoulder, between the shoulder blade and the spine. So remember when we did this the other day, we were standing and we had the ball between us and the wall. So I just want you to find that little point, and then you can do whatever you want to with your arms. I'm putting my left hand on my abs, and I'm just actually letting my right arm lift up. Roll it around. Make any adjustments if you need. I feel like the ball for me needs to come up a little bit higher on this side, like a little bit towards my upper traps. And then settle yourself onto the ball. Now the fact is, you're going to have a rotation in your body because the left shoulder will be down and the ball is propping you up on that right side. Take your right arm and just start to take your arm overhead and forward again. So it's like the arm scissors, only we're doing one arm at a time. So again, just like we did the other day when we were standing, we are gripping the fascia with the ball, and then the movement of our arm is sliding the muscle underneath the fascia to help it release. We're going to do just one more time. And release. And now take your time as you slip the ball out. Maybe before we do the other side, just lie there, knees bent, you can close your eyes, and just notice how that right side is feeling. It's quite interesting. I almost can't feel my shoulder blade on my right. I'm very aware of my left shoulder blade almost like poking into the floor right now, so it'll be interesting to see if that shifts. Okay, so let's try the other side. So you're going to take the ball, slip it now underneath the left shoulder, and again, don't forget that the two sides of our bodies are often very different, so you might have to get the ball into a slightly different position here. So again, I'm putting my right hand on my abs, and then I'm just sort of moving left arm, left ribs around, finding that little point that feels good. And then when you find the best release for you, just stay there and settle onto it. Now again, leg to the right side of your body be supported to the ground. And then your left arm is going to reach overhead. And I know for some people that have shoulder issues, you might not be able to lift the arm all the way over. It doesn't matter. Even if you have to keep that elbow bent and then do that little release. Find a way that it works for you. Feeling that glide. Try to relax your head and neck as much as possible. You might become aware that you're trying to hold your head. And we're going to do just one more time. And release. And then again, slip the ball out. You can leave it just beside you. And relax here for a moment. And just see if there has been a release or a shift on that left side now. It completely, even the same, she feels like it's melting. That's how it feels for me as well. But now I almost feel like I need to do my right side again because now I feel the right one poking out. So how do you find that balance? Okay, so now walk your feet wide again to the edges of your mat. Take your arms nice and wide. Roll both your knees to the right, turn your head and look to the left, and just stay here for a moment. So now we've gone back into a twist, a spiral. Is there a difference for you in your twist now that we release those rhomboids? Because the rhomboids are part of your spiral line. Just notice if there's a shift for you here. And then roll your knees back up the center, over to the other side, looking over your right shoulder. And again, just settle here in your spiral, in that twist. Hopefully it feels good. And coming all the way back up. So now we're going to stretch our legs out long. We're going into a roll-up. So if you need any props or support underneath your back, then go for it. Legs together, toes pointed or flexed, you choose. Hands are up to the ceiling above your chest. Here we go. Inhale, lift your head. Exhale, using abdominals as you come all the way forward. Now, I want you to stay in a rounded spine with your nose above your pubic bone today. Take a little breath in, and then breathe out and start rolling yourself back down so abdominal muscles are connecting. And hands just up to the ceiling. We're going to do that again. Inhale. Exhale. C shape of the body. Take a little breath. And exhale, back you go. And release one more time. Inhale. Breathe it out. Staying in that C shape. And then rolling yourself all the way back again. And pause. Now, bend your knees, putting your feet flat. Take your little massage ball, and now you're going to place it underneath your sacrum. And I'm pretty sure there are a few of you that are very excited to do this because it just feels so good. So once it's under your sacrum, do that little rolling action from side to side. So remember that this is sort of bringing the hydration back into the fascia. You can stay still and just sort of sink your body weight, or you can do the movement side to side. Maybe you want to go forwards and backwards as well, which is fine. And then stay here for just a few more breaths. And then lift your pelvis off the ball. Take the ball to the side, and you can settle here for a moment. Just enjoy that sensation of melting. And now we're going to repeat the roll up. Stretch your legs out, legs together, hands up to the ceiling. When you're ready, lift your head, and we breathe. Did that release of the sacrum assist you in your movements? Maybe, maybe not. Start rolling down. It's just simply going to highlight what's happening with your body and the movements that your body likes to make. Inhale. Exhale. Beautiful. Stay for a moment. Breathing in. Keep that curve of the spine. And exhale, down you go. Energy through the feet. And lift. This is the last one. Make it the best one. Inhale. Breathe. Holding for a moment. Take a breath in. And exhale. Unravel. Lifting all the way up. And arms relax down. Turn onto all fours. So coming onto hands and knees, we're going to be transitioning into a downward facing dog position here. So spread your fingers out, tucking your toes under. Just lift your knees a fraction off the ground, and then send your hips back and up. Keep your knees really bent, and then let's do that little calf muscle release. So you're pressing one foot down at a time. If there's any strain around the neck or the shoulders or the arms, then give yourself a break at any point. Send both heels down towards the floor. Take a little bit of a breath in, and then exhale. Bring your knees all the way down towards the ground and hold it here. Relaxing your feet all the way back. Walk your hands a little bit more forward than you normally would. So you have a longer base than usual. Long spine, moving your shoulders forward over your wrists. Notice the transfer of body weight. And then shift back to bring your hips maybe a little bit behind your knees. And again. Gliding forward. Notice the loading into the lower abs. Shifting back. Noticing the loading into the upper body. Latissimus dorsi. Let's take 2 more. Glide forward. Move back. Now on this last one, come forward. Hold it here. And you're going to bend your elbows to come all the way down. If you need to take a little bit of assist, then give yourself the break that you need. Now, your elbows stay lifted today. Oftentimes in Pilates, we put the elbows down. Today, you're going to keep the elbows lifted. Legs are slightly apart. Hover the tip of your nose and engaging into the gluteals. We inhale to come up into cobra. And we exhale to release back down. And again, inhale. It's a baby cobra, so your heart is up, but your ribs are down at the bottom. And release. Let's do one more time. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale and release. Now, tuck your right toes under. Just the right foot. As you come into cobra, you're going to straighten your knee. Keep your toes down though. We're going to inhale, straighten the right knee as you come into cobra, and then releasing down. And again, inhale, straighten the knee, baby cobra, and release. One more time. Inhale, up you come, baby cobra, and this time stay here. Find your connections. Look over your left shoulder and back to center. 2 more times. So we're adding a gentle spiraling to this extension. And center, 1 more time. So you're looking over the left shoulder, but the right leg is straight. Come to center, stop, release everything down, and relaxing your right toes back behind you. Tuck the left toes under. On your breath, come up into baby cobra and extend the left knee. And everything releases down. And again. So as you straighten that knee, you're getting a little bit of an extra opening on the front line of the body. 1 more time. Keep it gentle. Up you come, and this time I want you to stay here and hold it. Look over your right shoulder. Come back to the center. And again, over your right shoulder, so it's opposite to the leg that's extended. And center, 1 more time. Looking over right shoulder. And center, releasing everything down. Relax your foot out. Firm up the abdominals and press yourself up onto hands and knees. Up you come. Tuck toes under. Lift up and bring yourself once again to a downward facing dog. So make any adjustments you need to your position. Bend your knees if you need to. Taking that lovely, easy breath in. Soften your knees and walk your feet halfway forward. Walk your hands backwards towards your toes. You can come onto fingertips if you need. Relax over for a moment. And then bend your knees deeply as you roll up. Easy, easy, easy. Make sure you don't have a massive head rush here, so you're just going to pause for a moment. Just allow your eyes to focus. And then rolling your shoulders back and around for a moment. I'm going to turn to face towards you. You can stay as you are if you wish. And now bend your knees slightly again. The bending of the knees, guys, is to keep the lumbar spine easy. Sometimes if we lock the knees, it locks the lumbar spine. So interlace your fingers. Hands go underneath your head. Get that feeling of lengthening up through the spine. Now you're going to lean over to your right. I'm going to do a mirror image for you. Lean over to your right. And now let your spine round over and go over to the other side. So now you're leaning over to the side. That's it. And bring your body upright so you're facing the front again. So keep your knees bent. And now we go. Let your elbows softly come together. And then as you lean to the other side, look to the front and open your elbows. And again, round. Look to the front. Open up through the heart. Now, you can make this as big or as small as you want. So this again is part of gyrokinesis, finding that lovely mobility through the spine. And all of this connects to breath. Taking just a few more, rounding over, and then opening to the side. Last one, rounding over, and opening to the side. Bring yourself upright, straighten your knees, long stretch. And exhale, open your arms wide, and allow your arms to settle. Pause here. Soften your gaze or close your eyes. Connecting into your physical body. Observing how you feel. Bring your awareness to your breath. Tuning into your energy. And how do you feel? Taking a long, deep inhale through the nose. Pause. Hold your breath. And a gentle sigh. Blink your eyes open. Give everything a little bit of a shake. Wonderful. How do you feel?
Very good.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Awesome. Absolute pleasure. All right. Let's check in with you guys.